I had to go ahead and break out the Capricorn shirt for the GOAT. What is up, everybody? My name is Advance, and this is Advanced Sports Talk. That game, it was touch and go for a second. But, once again, Justin Herbert proves that he has what it takes to be a starter in this league. However, wasn't enough to stand up against my Bucks. Man, so let's talk about this game. In the beginning, it looked like Tom Brady was about to fall back into his, like that Bucks culture was trying to take him over. But he was like, nah, he charged up. But we did strike first. Touchdown pass to Cameron Brate. Justin Herbert scored a touchdown. Then Brady throws a pick six. Not good. In the exact same pass that he threw that Jackrabbit picked off. Same person too. He was trying to get it to Justin Watson. Look, I know like Brady's an intermediate person. That's what your tight ends are for. Justin Watson, Scotty Miller, Mike Evans. These guys are deep threats. Like, you gotta send them downfield. Like, that's where they're most effective at. You can't have them doing like little 5-yard out routes. 5-yard, little 5-yard comeback routes. Evans can do that because that's his special ability on Madden. But no, Scotty Miller and Justin Watson, they're speedsters. You gotta send them on. You gotta send them down the field. But in any case, so that was the first half. So at the end of the first half, Justin Herbert threw an interception. I have absolutely no idea why they weren't running the ball at this point. I do know Austin Ekeler got hurt because Buccaneers takes out running backs. Fact of the matter is, they still have a capable backup. The dude, Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson, who in my opinion has not had the proper time to shine. I know he's a beast, but in any case, back to the Bucks. So they threw an interception which set the Bucks up at the 30, leading to yet another touchdown pass to Mike Evans. So now it's 21-14. But the Bucks got the momentum. So come out of the half, throwing bombs, man. Like, Brady was on fire. But Justin Herbert, he did his thing too. He came back, threw one touchdown, put their score up to 31. But man, Brady went on to score 24 unanswered points, including a go-ahead touchdown to Keyshawn Vaughn. First game back after apparently a COVID diagnosis. But yeah, man, it was special, man. It was like, that was like Brady of old. He came out on some like superhero shit. Not quite Super Saiyan, but yeah, he was on some heroic shit. Brady broke that defense apart. And what's crazy is that fact that the Chargers defense is nothing to sneeze at. But I think what also happened was Melvin Ingram got injured in this game. So with Melvin Ingram being injured, that pretty much put all the strain on Joey Bosa. So that made it a little bit easier for them to for him to pick it apart. And then, man, the Bucks had played such a fundamental game. The game that the Bucks played was identical to the game that the Chiefs played on week 1 on that first Thursday night game. It was just superb offense, defense, special teams. The kicking wasn't really extraordinary. It was kicking. They played such a fundamental game of football, and it's like, as a Bucks fan, it warms my heart, really being in this position. This is the first time we was in this position for a long time. 3-1, leading the division. Last time we was in this position, Raheem Morris was our coach. When we went into our bye 4-2, leading the division, and then we lost 10. We lost 10 straight. He ended up getting fired, and yeah, we had to start all over. That was then. This is now. Shout out to Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, Coach Bowles, Todd Bowles, man. Like, oh man, like it's like, yo, that was a very entertaining game to watch. Alright, let me move on and break down the rest of these scores. And while I'm talking about Raheem Morris, I'm gonna just go ahead and move this game up to the front of the line because I need to talk about this. Atlanta versus Green Bay. Why am I talking about Raheem Morris? Because Raheem Morris is Atlanta's defensive coordinator. I think Atlanta might be done. Like, this is not Atlanta's year. Unless something miraculous happens, I don't see them coming back from 0-4. And it's crazy because I heard somebody say that, like, Matt Ryan basically doesn't have, Matt Ryan is a superb quarterback, but he doesn't have the tools around him. Bruh, really? That's what you're gonna say? You're gonna say Matt Ryan doesn't have the tools around him? Man, he's got Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, this Zacchaeus guy. Like, oh man, it's like that's like grade A, like, cop out right there, man. But yeah, if you want to be real, if you want to be frank, I know what the real problem is. The problem is the offensive coordinator that they hired after we fired him, Dirk Cutter, who actually should have never been hired to begin with because he stole the job from Lovie Smith. I'm not gonna step on my soapbox, but yeah, you got two former Buccaneers head coaches as your coordinators. You got Raheem Morris, who I like, as your defensive coordinator, and you got Dirk Cutter, who I don't like, as your offensive coordinator. Yeah, you're putting up Matt Ryan is putting up all these numbers and everything, but you're saying that is not his fault, bruh. No, it's the play calling. Like 30-16. 30-16. In any case, I spent too much time talking about the Falcons. So, Aaron Rodgers is back to the Aaron Rodgers of 2010-2011. What year was that they won the Super Bowl? Anyway, yeah, he's back to the Aaron Rodgers of old when he first took over from Brett Favre. Even with his star receiver out and his newly found star receiver out. So Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard are gone. They're on injured reserve. So yeah, so even though he didn't have his star receivers, he still had, receiving targets that he can lean on. He still had MVS. Robert Tonyan, man, that dude is a beast. I don't even know where he came from. I've never even heard of him before this season. And that's crazy. Maybe I just need to expand my horizons more. Aaron Jones is proven to be the cornerstone of that offense. He had 95 yards receiving, 71 yards rushing. Like, he's a running back. Yeah, I think Dan Quinn is on the chopping block. And if you ask me, I think Raheem Morris has been plotting this for a while because he worked his way all the way up from defensive backs coach to assistant coach. Then he was named defensive coordinator. And now he's literally a breath away from taking over that team. And I know he's coming for us. And I can't even be mad at him. But that don't mean we're going to roll over, though. Packers beat the Falcons 30-16. So, Broncos got tired of being bullied. Because I don't know if this was really as exciting of a game, or if it was just the fact that both teams had defenses that sucked. But it was the Broncos versus the Jets. And, the Broncos ended up winning 37-28. New Orleans versus Detroit. And I'll say this. Thank God for Emmanuel Sanders. Because it wasn't looking too good for them at first for a minute. This game has people asking the question, is Drew Brees done? He was a little bit slow on his delivery, and it took the ball forever to get there. In fact, there was a couple of passes that should have been picked off. But, he ended up getting lucky on those. Hey, whether by an inch or by a mile, Saints ended up winning 35-29. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this now. Battle of the Beltway. Baltimore Ravens versus the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. Yeah, Baltimore was itching to bounce back after that embarrassment from last week that they suffered at the hands of the Chiefs. It was not pretty. 31-17. I think Washington ended up getting a garbage time touchdown, or they ended up scoring some points in garbage time or whatever. Yeah, the Ravens had a serious grudge against Native Americans this week. Arizona versus Carolina. And I really needed Arizona to pull through in this, but unfortunately they lost 31-21. So Arizona's been on a bit of a warpath. They've been on a warpath lately. They 2-2, but they've been doing some damage. I don't know. It's like the NFC West. That's gonna be a toss up because we don't know who's gonna come out of that division. Because I don't know what Russell Wilson is going to be like after week 8. And I don't know what San Francisco is going to be like after week 8. You know, I know there's a lot of guys out right now, but, you know, by mid-season, you know, they can get healthy. The Rams seem to be on the up and up. So, I don't know. I guess this is a case where we just have to flip a coin and see what's going to happen. Yeah, Carolina is continuing to look good with their offensive core. You know, the Mike Davis still fulfilling that. He's still fulfilling that Christian McCaffrey role. Robbie Anderson still falling as their number 1 receiver. Panthers ended up winning 31-21. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Bengals. Now, I know Jacksonville doesn't have the best defense, but Joe Burrow has been fairly consistent in his scoring up, you know, thus far. Yeah, the Bengals have proven that they can score. You know, the only game that they really didn't run up the score like that in was in week 1, and that was only because they was playing the Chargers. That defense I was talking about earlier. But yeah, they hung 30 on the Browns. Just so happened that they scored 35. And they actually tied with the Eagles last week. 300 yards passing. And Gardner Minshew threw 350. But the highlight of this game, the surprise of this game though, is the return of Joe Mixon. Now I know he's always been there, but he hasn't been there like this. 25 carries for 151 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. Bengals ended up winning 25-33. And speaking of the Browns, Cleveland Browns versus the Dallas Cowboys. Cleveland was almost about to get that Atlanta label, you know, allowing the teams to come back. Because, yeah, they thoroughly dominated the Cowboys. Man, it was crazy. So, Cowboys started to come back. You know, Dak tried to rally him a little bit. Dak threw for 500 yards and threw 4 touchdowns, but it was not enough. It was not enough. And that's crazy because when you look at that in comparison to Baker Mayfield's measly little 165 yards, but he threw 2 touchdowns though. Odell Beckham is happy. You know, he caught a couple touchdowns, so he's happy for now. Kareem Hunt rushed for a couple of touchdowns as well. Duke Johnson had 100 yards rushing. That's that double-headed dragon I was talking about. That's crazy. Even Odell Beckham got involved with the rushing game. Caught a nice little gain on a reverse. 4 touchdowns. Cowboys 1-3, man. I don't know what to make of that. Browns beat the Cowboys 49-38. Oh my God. So we gotta talk about this because I've been giving these guys shit all year. The Minnesota Vikings versus the Houston Texans. I don't need to tell you what happened because chances are you probably either saw the game or you know the scores. But I'm here, so I'm gonna talk about it. Vikings ended up beating the Texans 31-23. Deshaun Watson threw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Will Fuller continuing to benefit off of the absence of the number 1 receiver in the league, DeAndre Hopkins. He got 6 receptions, 400 yards. Both David and Duke Johnson did, I don't know if they did enough. Kirk Cousins, though, 260 yards passing. 100 apiece went to Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. And 130 yards rushing to Dalvin Cook, and who also ran in 2 touchdowns. I just found out shortly before I recorded this video that Bill O'Brien fired. Yeah, that DeAndre Hopkins deal really didn't shake out too well. And they traded their I also found out, I was so messed up about the DeAndre Hopkins trade. I found out they traded Jadeveon Clowney. They traded a D tackle and then had to spend the first round pick. So guess what? They ain't got no first round pick next year. Oh man. So yeah, that was so yeah, I guess when they started off 0-4, that was the last straw. It was like, yo, Bill O'Brien, get the fuck out of here. But in any case, Vikings ended up winning 31-23. Seattle Seahawks versus the Miami Dolphins. Russell Wilson versus Ryan Fitzmagic. Seahawks ended up winning 31-23. And Russell Wilson found a new target this game in David Moore. 3 receptions for 95 yards. Lockett kind of fell to the background in this game. Metcalf always gonna be number 1. 4 receptions for 106 yards. Russell Wilson had 360 total with 2 passing touchdowns. Ryan Fitzpatrick ended up throwing 2 interceptions. The 2 interceptions the whole game. But he himself also managed to throw for 300 yards. Seahawks beat the Dolphins 31-23. The Rams versus the Giants. This game didn't wow me. But Rams ended up winning 17-9. Indianapolis Colts versus the Chicago Bears. Yeah, as much as I hyped Foles up in the last game, I don't think this wasn't his most impressive showing. But he did throw for 249 yards and 1 touchdown. Phillip Rivers threw for 190 yards and 1 touchdown. Yeah, he's leaned mostly on his running back, Jonathan Taylor, who's proven to handle that starting job quite well. Stats in this game wasn't really nothing to write home about. Colts ended up beating the Bears 19-11. Buffalo Bills versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, I make myself say that name every time so I can get used to it so I don't call them Oakland. Identical quarterback play from both parties. Josh Allen threw for 288 yards. Derek Carr threw for 311 yards. They both got 2 touchdowns apiece. Top receiver for the Bills, I don't gotta tell you, Stephon Diggs. Top receiving for the Raiders, of course, Darren Waller, the tight end. And I can hear Eagles fans. I can hear the Eagles fans screaming. Nelson Aguilar, 4 targets, 4 receptions for 44 yards and 1 touchdown. Oh, y'all was expecting 4 touchdowns. Nah, he ain't that beastly. But I don't know, he's falling in. He's building up. So, buddy of mine who's an Eagles fan, he's like, look, don't fall into that trap. Don't fall into the trap. He's gonna do this. He's gonna do this one thing. He's gonna rack up all these fantasy points. He's gonna make you think that he's reliable, and then he's gonna drop the ball that counts. Don't trust him with the game on the line. You're like, don't trust him with the game on the line. But hey, I gotta give props where props is due though. Like, he caught the touchdown when it was thrown to him, and it was 4-44. So the Bills ended up beating the Raiders 30-23. Speaking of the Eagles, Eagles versus San Francisco. I think Wentz is back. Last week was the best game that he played this year, but he still made some questionable moves. This week, he's back. So, first touchdown of the game, quarterback sneak. Well, not even really a quarterback sneak. It was a well-designed rush, and he ended up running in off the side. San Francisco started coming back. They scored two unanswered touchdowns. The Then the Eagles got a field goal. Then the Eagles got a pick six, which pretty much sealed it. Eagles beat the 49ers 25-20. And now, with the aid of that atrocious tie, they are now leading the NFC East. Moving on to the Patriots versus the Chiefs. First off, Belichick was talking all this smack in the offseason when Brady finally came down, or when they let Brady go and he came down to Tampa, and he said, that's all right. I'm gonna take this guy's stead, and we're going back to the Super Bowl. Then he decided to sign Cam Newton. But in a shocking twist, Cam Newton tested positive for COVID, so he had to sit out this week. So now he's in the whatever protocol that they have set up for that. And luckily, they caught it early enough, so I guess when he gets his treatment and when he's no longer deemed contagious, he'll be back. But in any case, so Brian Hoyer got the start, but I guess after he fucked up as well, Belichick was like, all right, well, fine, have at it, kid. So I will say this though, Stidham threw 2 interceptions, but he actually looked like he was he looked like he could move the ball. It's just so happened that he was playing against the Chiefs. Mahomes, I don't gotta tell you about Mahomes. Threw 2 touchdowns. Surprisingly, he actually only threw for 200 yards. Probably because they was ahead most of the game. But yeah, the Patriots receivers seem to be coming into their own. I don't know what was up with them last year, why they couldn't perform with Tom Brady, but they seem to be doing a lot better now. Damiere Byrd had 80 yards receiving. Doesn't look like nobody's receivers really broke 100 yards, because even Kels only had 70. Tyreek Hill had 64. But the Chiefs ended up beating the Patriots 26-10. So there was another game that was scheduled. And if you were keeping count, which you probably weren't, you would have noticed that I did 15 games instead of 16. So the Steelers versus the Titans. The Steelers were supposed to play the Titans on Sunday, but the game ended up being postponed because there were numerous positive cases that occurred within the Titans organization. Not the players, but the organization itself, like the coaches, the staff, and all that. So I don't know exactly who it was or what it was. So basically, they pulled the same thing that they did with Tampa Bay a couple years ago. They just gave both of those teams a bye, and I guess they'll play later on in the season. So that'll do it for this episode of Advanced Sports Talk. Once again, Capricorn shirt for the GOAT, Tom Brady. In any case, my name is Advance, and I'll always continue to be. Y'all stay safe out there. I'm out.